I think we talked mostly about this, right?
Previous class?
Yeah.
Of this same series? No, but in previous class.
No, in this same series.
Mentioned it. I don't think with this diagram.
But we talked about most of these points, right?
Yeah, in regards to the aura.
I think the only part we didn't talk about was the impurities, right?
Right.
Okay. Okay, we'll come back to that. And we talked about the formation of the auric body, right? In the last class. Here, did we talk about the 8 layers? We haven't went into this, right?
No.
Okay. Okay, let's go into the 8 layers. Yeah, I know other people may they call it different things in order to, I don't know, to excite the whole New Age movement, but I'm not like that. I'm going to try to give it to you in a way so that when you begin to become serious about tapping into this energy, that you'll have some type of concrete format to reach for. Okay, that's my goal when I teach this stuff. I don't want to give you the airy-fairy stuff. I try to give it to you step by step, and in a way that you can begin to connect the dots, so that you can tap into this energy when you decide to want to practice. These are the 8 layers of the auric, and there's many layers of the auric, but these are the major 8 layers that I look at and that I have come to understand. Is you have the Nata auric layer, and the Nata is a subtle sonic sound vibration. And that's probably the first layer of the auric body, okay? And the auric body is made up of a magnetic substance of force and energy. So, in other words, the soul speaks the word. As simple as that. The same way God spoke the word, and this sonic boom went out, and all the energy shaped and molded itself according to the signature of that sound, right? And that sound, is some type of mental configuration, if we can say, for our own limited understanding. So, the same way the spirit spoke the word and manifested the soul spoke the word and manifested the auric body. So the first layer of the soul of the auric body is this Nata force, this great subtle force. And the Hindus and the Buddhists, they call this mantra. You know, it's a sound vibration, right? It's actually mantra. And mantra is made up of many syllables or of Nata, right? So the first layer is this Nata energy, right? Show you what I wrote here. The Nata auric layer is a sonic flow of energy substance that works strictly according to the law of karma, because it is a signature of karma and this Nata, because the soul would never do anything outside of the law of karma. The soul always stick to the law of karma. This magnetic field of sound is a subtle, creative, sonic sound vibration released from the soul, which serves to form the karmic background and karmic signature needed to sustain manifested life cycles for lower aspects of soul's manifested consciousness as the life stream itself. So in other words, this sonic vibration comes out, it feels this bubble, this auric bubble, and it actually becomes the first action to allow everything else to happen, all right? Because this sound vibration also carry with it the four principles of Shakti, because that's what sound does, which is the intelligent signature or directive of the absolute, right? Or the supreme being at that particular time that's releasing that, and the mind specifications, the mental specifications to hold this thing into being, and the prana necessary to move this energy or this mind and Nata through the cycles that it needs to go. And the fourth principle is the love energy that preserves it throughout the cycles. So every time you speak, you enact those type of Shakti principles. Every time you think and every time you speak, those four principles are placed into action. So that is the this layer of the auric body. That's what's there. The next one is the mental auric layer. And the mental auric layer is a wave of mental substance that pervades the full auric field and substance from the soul via the Bindu, Nata, wave, and BJs. This part of the auric structure help to lay the background and forms the patterns that the subtle and gross energies will be allowed to take under karmic pressure. The mental magnetic auric field is broken up in four major categories: superconscious mind, superconscious mind, subconscious mind, and conscious mind. Now, the mental auric field have to come next after the Nata, because the Nata and the mental auric field is really one energy. But the mental auric field express itself and split itself up into these four major characters. And I mean, into these four major aspects, in order to begin to form a life screen under the proper karmic pressures necessary for the light screen to gain experience. The third layer is the pranic layer of the auric body, which is a wave of subtle energy substance that pervades the full auric field that provides mental energies. This part of the auric structure delivers 5 major forms of vital subtle energies. Represents that's heat, etheric liquid. No, that is described as etheric sound, etheric gases energy, etheric light / heat, etheric liquid, and etheric solids. All of these subtle energies are molded by the mental and auric substance. Now, you see you have this output of auric substance coming from the center, and one helps to manifest the next, helps to hold the next in manifestation. The fourth is the etheric auric layer. This is the higher physical body, or higher subtle body. This is when everything comes together in a subtle physical body itself, working as one system once you reach the etheric layer. And from that, the other layers are actually created, in a sense. And this is where the superconscious mind operates from. When you split the consciousness, it can operate in a full in a full aspect in the etheric body. It cannot necessarily operate like that in an astral body. So the etheric body is made up of the upper chakras, from the heart chakra and the throat chakra and the Christ chakra. The etheric body is made from those substance. From the energy configuration from those vortex centers. So that's what gives it its power and its ability to, although the etheric body can move through all the realms easily because it's moving from high to low, unlike the astral body, can't necessarily do that. It can't move through all the realms. The astral body is made up of the lower chakras, from the solar plexus and down. This doesn't take away from the astral body. The astral body is a very powerful body. It's a risen body. But with most of the population of the earth, it operates from a very low level, the lower chakras, and is not expressed as well until a person places the proper discipline upon themselves.
The astral body is made from which chakras, you said?
From the solar plexus, sex, and base. Mm-hmm. And the chakras even below the base. So the next layer of the sixth layer of the auric body, I call this the layer of the bone and bone marrow layer. This is the physical part of the body. This is the auric level of the body that helps form that physical part of the body. The interior physical framework and the background structure that sustains life and produces subtle physical substance, such as bone marrow, to subtle and gross bodies. The bone marrow is the thing that produces the life-giving substance of blood. Without the bone marrow, you cannot have red blood cells or white blood cells. So it's a life-giving substance. And when you go back to the ancient yogas, they mention the bone marrow as one of the primary energies extending itself from Kundalini. Okay, it's a Kundalini power that have solidified itself. Okay, so that's very important to understand that. The same as the spinal fluid. The spinal fluid is a Kundalini power as well. All right, that have solidified itself. The next layer, or the seventh layer, is the blood, the tissue, and the organs. Okay? This is also mentioned in the Tantric Satra and Mantra Satra teachings. It comes from there. It's also a part of the, what is called, it escapes my mind. Well, anyway, it's also part of the 7 or the 8 tissues. The Ayurveda, yeah. The Ayurveda is also a part of that. And the yogis call it the tissues, the 8 tissues, or what's called datas, Sanskrit name for it. And its part is solidified energy that derived from Kundalini. Okay, so the blood, because blood does what? You have blood cells. Those blood cells form tissues. The tissues form the organs, and then the organs create the system, which is the human body. And all of these are a graduate stage or energy that formed from the bone marrow, and the bone marrow and spinal fluid, and the bone marrow and spinal fluid, along with Ojas, actually came from Kundalini. That's why when a woman becomes pregnant, what happens is that a part of her Kundalini rises. It rises to the solar plexus center, right? And there, the body begins to make the changes in order to produce the baby. All right. She don't have a full rise of Kundalini. She have a partial rise of Kundalini, and that's why the woman seems to become very sensitive to everything around her. She becomes very aware, and the least little thing she eats wrong or do wrong, she knows it, and her body just reacts to it, and that's why some of them, they become violently sick, because everything they do have to fall under a strict law of karma in order to bring about that pregnancy without incident. If they go outside of those laws that governs themselves or that child, then they see a negative reaction, and it becomes a difficult pregnancy. And the yogis have said this for thousands of years, So it's the auric field that helps to bring about those things and help to keep it into existence under that time cycle. Of course, the physical body is the last is the last, that physical auric glow that we see is the last aspect or the last major aspect to the aura. Now, there's many, I mean, I can go and list a whole team of things under each one, but these are just the major. And the physical is a part of that auric structure that is an exterior type barrier that holds the skin, all the exterior components of the body together. You know, your senses, your physical senses, your extremities, your hands, your fingers, your toes, all of those are held and it has a particular glow. One of the worst things about this physical glow or physical part of the aura on this physical plane is that when you begin to look psychically, the first thing you would notice is a gray mist everywhere. And on most people, you'll see this gray mist, or it's kind of like a light, but it's mixed with a gray mist everywhere. And some people is not as prevalent as other people, but this is a negative energy, residue that we have created all around the world from our negative actions. So that the natural physical glow that normally come from, is not seen readily when you, develop your psychic abilities, or develop at least the psychic ability to see. You'll notice this gray mist everywhere, and it taints the auric fields. But the physical part, it has the first thing you see is the outline of that light, right? Now in this presentation here, I kind of expanded it so that this is not the actual size of the aura. The aura doesn't extend that far, but I expanded it and just to show to show it. So don't think that the aura extend that far from the body. With some people, the aura does extend far, but with most people, the aura does not. It looks like a thin line or glow around the body, and it takes on different colors with their particular activity that they're doing. Okay, certain colors expand and shoot off the body, but it doesn't extend too far away from the body. Only about inches, Now, when it does expand, is when a person is very good at what they're doing, and they're concentrating on a particular thing, maybe like an athlete or a musician or artist. Then you notice their aura begin to expand, or a very advanced person, you notice their aura expand and take on more substance. But the average person, no, it doesn't. It's just a few inches away from the body.
Why is
So.
that? You would think that during concentration, actually, we're taught to cut off external stimuli and focus
Mm-hmm.
senses inside. You would bring the aura closer to us, but
Mm-hmm.
why would it get larger?
I think because it's active. It's very, very active. And I think most of what I notice when it's expanding, it seems like it's filtering for some reason. The same way when you chant mantra. When you begin to concentrate, it looks like a filtering processes going on, you know. So in other words, heat expands, and coldness does what? Contracts. So when you turn on this engine, it expands. Because why? Now you're working within the mental body, you know? And before, you're in the physical body and it kind of cools down when you're walking around in this almost unconscious state of being, you know? But when you get into the mental body, you notice that the aura begins to expand at that point. That's what I noticed, at least.
Is it aura that you're feeling when somebody walks into a room, even without them speaking, you feel their presence? Or what is it you're feeling? Sometimes somebody walks into a room and you just feel it's different.
Sometimes what happens usually when people walk into your presence, the first communication you have with them is your aura.
So that is what you're feeling.
Yeah, so your aura, my aura connects to you and everyone in this room. Immediately when I walk into the room, you have this connection, this link that begins to happen. That's the only reason why you understand us. Because if you cut that link off, that person can be talking and you don't hear a thing they say. Because why? You'll tuck your concentration, your focus, and put it on something else. So when you do that, your aura kind of disconnect on a particular level. It's connected because you're connected to the life form, to the other life forms, but it's not connected on a conscious level. It just picks up, records, and store. And it'll take you having to tap into your subconscious mind, if you can, to remember what that person said. Or somebody throwing you on the hypnosis, and then you could they can pick it up, or help you pick it up from your subconscious mind. But you could do that yourself with training.
One second.
Yeah. So we have, so I just want to give you a view of what I didn't say or didn't go over with this. The first one is the Nata Auric body, right? And there you have spirit. You have the spirit Nata force. You have the soul Nata force. And then you have the Bindu Nata force, and you have the BJ Nata force. Of course, we know the soul is the divine spark of God, which speaks a word, which releases a sound vibration, and the soul is created. Then you have the soul that release a word, right? And then the Bindu, or what we call a point of consciousness, a compaction point of energy, comes about or reveals itself. And then you have the BJ, which is another, it's like a seed sound that is a tentacle of the Bindu. Okay? In other words, it's an aspect of the Bindu. And I mean, I could probably go on and on and on with showing you how this sound vibration moves throughout the whole system. But that's good enough just to understand that there was a sound vibration, and this wave of sound moves out, and it activates the Shakti power. Okay? It activates mind, and then it activates the Shakti power. So when we move to the second layer of the second major layer of the auric body, you have the chitta, which is the cosmic mind, that universal mind energy that is trapped or pulled on by the release of the sound of the soul, right? And the Bindu, because what the soul does the same way, in other words, if you think about a Bindu, think about the sun. The sun is a Maha Bindu. And the sun is this compaction point of tremendous energy, right? That was actually spoken to being by the Absolute, right? And so then what the soul did, the soul spoke into being that Bindu, and it's a compaction point of energy within you. And then everything comes from that, or everything comes through that, in other words. And with the soul, I mean, with the mighty sun, the energy doesn't originate from the sun. The energy actually originated from the Absolute. But all the energy enters the sun and given to the solar system. See? So the soul does the same thing. The soul creates this Bindu point, which is a miniature sun within you, and it pulls on the energy of the universe, of the solar system, the universe, and pass it down into the auric fields. And that's how you begin to develop the auric body and consciousness and all of this stuff. So that's the Bindu, and you have this mind energy coming through the Bindu. You have this manas, which is another form of mind, but it's mind is chitta that's been touched or manipulated in some type of way outside of its original flow. In other words, the universal mind substance that flows from the Absolute, we call it chitta. But once we touch it and evolve being, it becomes manas, okay? Then you have this superconscious mind that's configured and formed by the soul, and you have this super conscious mind that's configured by the soul. You have the subconscious mind and the conscious mind, all serving to be to create this mental body, this mental layer of energy. Then you have the third one, right? You have the third one, which is the pranic auric level, and the pranic auric level is the Shakti signatures, which we know as the principles. Then the 5 Maha Bhutas, which we know as the cosmic energy. Then you have the which is the Kasa, the Vayu, the Tejas, and Apas, and Paritis. We know that is the 5 cosmic elements of the universe. Then you have the Sushunanati, that all of this is concentrated and pushed down through, and then which produces this thing called Kundalini. And then you have the Nadi system, which comes from the Kundalini, and you have the Ida Nati, the Pingala, and the 241. Is it 41 or 42? 42,000 Nadi pathways, right? And then you have the energy formation that occurs within the body, the 5 major pranas, the Udana, Prana, Samana, Vyana, and Apana. And then you have these energies and these nadis pushing itself through the chakra system, all right? So, which is the 108 chakras. So there's a, you know, there's connection of dots here that you can see that's happening within the auric body. Then you have the etheric body, which is made up from the Bindu, the Nata, the BJ, the upper chakras, the superconscious configuration, and the superconscious configuration of the energies. Then you have the auric body, the astro-auric layer of the body is made up from the Nata, the BJ, the Natis, the lower chakras, the subconscious configuration, and the subconscious configuration of energy. So there, and we could have went on and on and on and on, showing how each aspect of this of the layer configure itself, and it all works in conjunction in producing the human expression, which is really the vehicles of expression for the soul to gain experience through involution and down to involution through evolution. Okay.
Where would the emotional body and feeling?
That's in the astral body. Yeah. That's another, I mean, we can break it up even more, but all of that, if you notice, is you had a Nata, the BJ, and the Natis. That shows an aspect of that's going to build emotion. It's going to build feelings, right? Because it's filtered through. It's not the higher feelings, it's the lower feelings, or the lower emotions, in other words. Feelings is actually it's higher than emotions, all right? When you have emotions, you don't necessarily feel that well. Can you understand what I'm saying on that? In other words, when you're emotional about something, you can't harness in on your feelings. You know, it's too cloudy. Because emotions bring on what? They bring on a cascade of irrational thinking. You know, so you don't have this pure train of thought. And then it brings on, with a cascade of crazy irrational feelings, it can bring on pain in the body and the groin, and you know, it just keep escalating, you know, out of control. And it's, as a metaphysician, we don't associate real feelings with emotion, because when you have a real feelings about something, like a mother can be very clear about her feelings for her child and what she need to do. No one can even tell her, and she knows to do that. You know, the same with a father. No one has to tell them what to do when it comes down to true feelings, when they tap into themselves, and especially when in danger or life-threatening things, they just get in touch with that higher part of them, because feelings is something of a higher nature. It's not something of a lower nature, you know, because feelings is in fact, feelings is above consciousness, I would say.
Would it be akin to intuition?
It's even above intuition. You know, the feelings of something is actually the life energy. It connects to the spirit and the soul, almost. Is, you know, because we live by what? What do we live by? What's the old saying? We live by what? We live by the grace of God. Feelings is there at that level. It's at a love level, you know, because when you have true feelings for something, what do you try to do? You try to preserve it. So feelings is really above consciousness. You know, it's a love type energy, and love energy is the greatest energy in the universe. So it's not, you don't associate feelings with emotions. On a metaphysical level, you don't do that, because feelings is above all of that.
And it connects to the soul.
It connects to the spirit and the soul. Yeah, you can level, you can almost connect it to a love energy,
Yeah.
because it's really impersonal.
I have a question about,
Hmm.
say, in the, not just in the physical body, but the body's there's, it's physical blood, it's astral blood, etheric blood, that carry, at least physically speaking, that carry air, oxygen, or prana to the other organs and tissues throughout the body. Why can't the organs and tissues take in prana directly themselves? Why does there need to be some type of circulation system?
Why can't, I don't get it.
Like if the pranas permeate the body,
Hmm.
then why, like say in the physical body, do we need blood to distribute it to the different organs and tissues?
If what now? I don't get it. I still don't get it.
So my question is, if like when we breathe in,
Hmm.
the air is taken to our lungs and the blood carries that fresh air throughout
Mhm.
the body, tissues and organs. But that's just the air, we're just breathing in prana and then distributing it physically that way.
Hmm.
Why couldn't the body just distribute the prana on its own? Why does it need blood to do that?
The body does though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get what you're saying. The body does.
So why do we still need blood to do that?
You receive air on several different levels, just not through the lungs and through the blood. You understand that, right? Yeah. The reason why you have oxygen and nitrogen in the air is because, in other words, each one of us walk around, and I think the scientists say that we walk in a bubble of 20 cubic, a bubble of air, or oxygen, which is about 20 cubic feet of air within that bubble. When we have less than that, we die. You understand? And we cannot live outside of an atmosphere of air. Now, when you take the quality of air, you can find many different things in the quality of air. Air is mainly, or oxygen, well, the atmosphere is mainly made up of oxygen and nitrogen, right? But there's many other things there. But all those things help to feed the body. You know, so we breathe from our skin, right? And we breathe from our oxygen. We also benefit from probably hundreds of bacteria that's in the atmosphere. If that bacteria was not there, we couldn't survive. So, I mean, there's many reasons, I mean, how we feed on our environment. It's just not through breathing. Although breathing is one of the it's a primary thing, right? But the energy gets to us from all different type of ways. And why? Because we receive the subtle energy in the body. Now, what's missing in science is that because each one of these layers that I just told you, each one of these is a combination of the energies, of pranic energies, right? So each one of these aspects can be called a pranic body. In fact, in some metaphysical circles, they call it the pranic body, whatever, right? So, so the physical body lives on that etheric and astral body. in other words. It literally lives on that. Now, why? Because within the astral body may contain the etheric body. The etheric body is actually the auric body. It's the body for the auric body in a sense, right? Although there's a case that, there's an auric field around it, but it thrives off of all these auric substance. And we know that because why? When the body dies, what happens? That electrical spark, that subtle energy that man cannot measure is gone. It's gone. Now, for your own knowledge, go and study the heart, right? Everyone dies from what? Cardiac arrest, right? But when you study the heart, you have these, if I remember correctly in my medical classes, you have what they call the nobes. You heard of the nobes before?
4 chambers?
It's a sound.
Oh, yeah.
It's some type of spark, right? It's a spark, it's a sound that permeates, that allows the blood to be pushed through, and it filters the blood. It takes care of the blood that runs through the veins versus the blood that runs through the arteries, right? And it's done by a sound vibration. When that sound vibration stops, what happens? You die. The lungs stop working. The astral body have to vacate. When the astral body vacates with the auric body, right? Because really the aura is the first thing to leave. Because the aura, in fact, the time cycle of the aura leaving, the aura leaves and leaves just a small aspect of itself there. And then the astral body and etheric body follow suit, right? But then of course the last is the physical body. Now the astral and the astral body may linger with the auric body and deteriorate next to or with the auric body, unless that's an advanced being and they dissolve the astral body and pull it within the etheric body and the auric body and take it with it. Then you wouldn't see the astral body hovering over the grave of the of the physical body. With the average person, you go to a grave site, they just recently died, and you may see the astral body hovering over the physical body because it's the counterpart, right? But you notice that it's deteriorating. You can see, because it takes the astral body longer to deteriorate than it does the physical body. But yeah, the energy moves. The energy moves. The energy, the subtle energy, the physical energy will not be moving without the subtle energy. And what I'm trying to tell you, that's why I took a long time to tell you, but that's why it's so obvious. It's so obvious. The physical energy will not move. Just that one thing, that this sound vibration is a thing that pumps the blood. And scientists should have just looked at that and went back to the ancient metaphysical teachings and connected that dot. But when that life force leaves that physical body, it doesn't operate. It doesn't operate. Now, of course, man said, well, it's just electricity, we just shock it and whatever. You may shock it to come back in, but is that consciousness, is that person's will to want to stay in that body that keeps it there, along with the karmic factors, But if that person don't want to be there, then they go. Especially when they are conscious or unconscious of how to exit now. You know, that they can will themselves to die, to leave, you know, because they don't want to be there anymore.
And the people who I suspect will themselves to live, or those that have died for, I don't know, a minute or two, or however long you can be dead and then come back, what is that? Was that the auric body leaving and then coming back?
Yeah. So I mean, or it could have been an aspect of the auric body
Okay.
that left. It could be a major component of the auric body that left, an aspect of it that left.
And if there's somebody who died and is sort of revived, or is it always because somebody else tried to help, or because the body or the aura decided, oh wait, oops, not right time, I'm coming back?
Well, it could be many things. You can't throw a situation for everybody, but it's many reasons, and it's mainly that person's will, whether they want to continue to go and compensate that they can, or they want to, or they just want to leave, you know. But ultimately, it comes down to you and your higher self, and what your karmic pattern have laid out for you, or what you have laid out for your karmic pattern, because it's still you, it's your higher self that dictates what lesson you need, you know.
Amputees, or amputation, or plastic surgery, whatever. Is that also reflected throughout the other bodies of the aura?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm sure it does, yeah. I mean, it may, because when you change the flow of energy, it's expressed on all levels, you know. In fact, it probably was there before the physical change took place, you know. Because remember, everything starts from a Nata level, and a Nata level is a pure mental level. Then it goes down to the mental level, to the mental chambers, and then the mental chambers begin to configure the energies to do what? To create the environment for this thing to happen. That's what I want you to see, and we'll probably go over that next week in the lecture. That your auric body actually carves the pathway for your life. It produces the necessary magnetic flow of energy and things that you need in life. If you want $1 million, then you can produce that $1 million through implanting that within your aura. And that's what a lot of these New Age groups, they say, oh, you know, the law of attraction. They're using an ancient law. You know, now, of course, along with that $1 million come a whole bunch of other stuff that you might not want, you know, because you may not have the power to control, you know, the circumstances. But your auric body, based on your karma, will say, okay, that's what you want to experience. We'll give you that, but you have to experience these 30 negative things and maybe 10 positive things over here. But that's the way it works, you know. So and that's your higher self talking to you, saying, yeah, you can do this, but this is the case. So, you know, your auric body, when you have this mental pull, it has a mental pull. It configures the energies around you so that it can attract the necessary people, situations, and environment that you need to learn from around you. And then you begin to experience that and learn that, you know. So it's a devic laboratory, your auric body is.
Hence the importance of Nata.
Hence the importance of Nata yoga, yeah. And Karma yoga, you know. So, any other questions? There's no questions? So we can move on. We could close out here if that's the case.
I'm gonna give him a few minutes on mine.
All right. We can go more into the impurities next week and talk about that and talk about the how the auric body can help, how you can use it. You can purify it and help move yourself through any situation you confronted with. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and close out then. There's no more questions.
All right, really quick announcement to answer a question that was asked. Class 2, which was streamed last week, will be made available Monday, tomorrow. And today's class, Class 3, will be made available next week, Monday. Also, some of the videos that we have up are private. That's why you do not see them listed on are in their respective playlists. If you would like access to those videos, send us an email, and if approved, we will grant you access to them. Make sure you have a Gmail address when you email us. That way, it's easiest for us to add you or grant you access via YouTube. The New Lord's Prayer. O divine and wondrous Spirit, O everlasting Lord of hosts, send forth now through me thy great and lasting power. Allow me, Almighty God, the lasting privilege of radiating to all the world thy great love, so that those who suffer may be given the power and energy to rise above their weaknesses. Almighty God, in great humility do I ask you to send forth your power, to give to me this great lasting privilege of being a channel, so that my suffering brothers may be helped and guided and healed and lifted into thy light, so that they who know not may look up and in doing so receive to their higher selves your divine counsel. Almighty God, this day have you granted me a divine privilege. I ask you now to give to me the strength so that never again will I turn from my inner vision of you. Oh, great peace, great peace, great peace. In praise of your greatness, O God, doth my soul sing, granted energy to sing on forever and forever. Thank you for watching. We will see you next week.